We're shooting a video on Saturday for their next single. So
All right.
That's
Wonderful.
up and coming.
All right. So I'll be just throwing the questions out there, and whoever wants to pick it up. The way it usually works is I just get you to introduce yourselves. We play the first track, then we come in, talk for a little bit.
Okay.
Track, talk for a little bit. Track. But you guys have been on here before, so
A couple of times.
Yeah, you know.
Don't play Wave Your Flag first. That's all.
Just play that last.
Play that because they're gonna probably talk about it
Okay.
first.
So what do you want first?
What do you want to let me play
Faswa or
first?
Ghetto?
Faswa or Ghetto?
Yeah, let's get it.
Ghetto.
Yeah. Okay. I'm ready for that.
All right.
Right.
Okay, you ready, Tom?
Ready. This is WOMMLP operating out of Burlington, Vermont, 105.9 The Radiator. Good evening, it's The Rocket Shop. I'm your host, Tom Proctor. With me tonight, once again, A2VT.
Yeah. We in the house, we turn up. We're doing good, man. Thank you for having us in here.
Anytime. Yeah, I think it's been a couple of years since you last came in.
Mm-hmm.
So, excited to hear what's been happening in that period of time. We usually like to introduce the guests first. So, who have we got here tonight?
I'll go on myself. My name is Saeed. I go by name aka Jilip. Jilip stay Jilip. And Jilip just means that I'm representing my hometown where I was born. I was born in Somali. Born in a small town called Jilip, and that's why I'm representing Jilip. The love that I got for Jilip, I want to carry it to the end.
Nice.
Jilip stay Jilip.
Yo, man, you already know it's your boy MG, man. I'm from Tanzania, and I came here 2007, and this is what we do for a living.
Nice. And producer as well?
David Cooper from New York City. Moved here 2007, right before I met these guys, and we've been working together ever since.
All right, wonderful. Well, I'd love to hear some of your tunes. What have you got for us first tonight?
I'll go ahead and listen to Ghetto.
Ghetto. All right.
You're doing your thing. You're doing your thing. You're doing your thing. You're doing your thing. Everybody get going. Running out of time. Make it go.
Good camera on
Yeah, we'll still be streaming on Facebook Live.
Oh, okay. We're streaming live. You want to dance?
Yeah.
Oh.
Let me tell you a story about my life. Let me tell you about this one, real one from the ghetto. It hurts so bad every time I talk about it. Feels so good, let it out to shine. Time is chasing money, struggle day and night.
Another thing to bring up
Trying to make
is
this
that that
right.
new album coming out, first one in a few years, coming out later this year. Coming out later. Got some art track on it. Finish it.
All right. Definitely make sure.
What did I have in my
What's that?
In the ghetto, mama. Yeah, he's the one who told us to do that.
It's a good impromptu dance party here. So that was Gesso by A2VT, and since our last time we talked, that's one of the newer tracks that you guys have come out with.
I think so.
I did manage to check out the.
First one was Radiator?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did manage to check out the music video for that one. Well, you guys have got quite a number of music videos, and as I understand it, you're filming another music video tomorrow.
Yeah.
Saturday. So, how integral is bringing a visual element to your music? So you obviously, people throw out tracks all the time, but you guys really seem to be dedicated to creating videos to your music. So, how important is that visual element?
Because people we was recording a lot of songs, and we didn't have a video to it, and people was asking us videos, and that's they made us work hard and find the good songs, and because we don't just take it out the video because we want to see what kind of song they want. You see the crowd, if they like the song, and they'll give them all the video.
So it's definitely kind of song comes first, and then depending on how popular you feel that song
is hitting.
Okay. And how most of your videos share kind of similar visual elements, but always in different settings or with different people. How do you decide how to create a video? Who's got like creative spark that's like, no, I'm going to do it here this time?
Yeah, because I'm sure, the spots usually, like we got a couple of spots that right now. I'm not gonna say it and I'm hide it. I'm gonna let you guys see it, all the spots in the video. But you live in a small town, and sometimes you'll be riding a bike and you just spot, and you're driving your car and walking. You see a nice spot, and you don't remember that spot. And when you guys talking about shooting a video, you just go like, oh, that spot. And you know that you have like 4 or 5 spots to go.
For people that don't know about you, do you want to tell us a little bit about the history of A2VT and how you guys first came together? Because there's 2 of you here tonight, but I mean, I'd look on your website and there's like a lot of you at this point. So how did you all come together? How did this form?
I mean, I start this disease.
This disease.
Yeah. So I met David with a friend of ours that I was a roommate with at the moment. I was in high school, and my roommate is a little bit older than me. His name is Peter Grant, still around. And him and Peter was a friend. I met through him because he told Peter that he's a musician and he will have it. He didn't have the studio, but he will have the studio get together and be recording and music with people. and he told that to Peter. And Peter told me that he met someone today named David, and so Peter knows that I was singing all the time in the house and keeping him. I was being noisy. I was young.
Yeah, keeping him awake.
Yeah, and I used to tell them I want to go to the studio, I want to make a song, I want to make music one day, and I want to get a band together one day, and it's like a dream come true. So I met David first, and then I took me to his studio, I seen it. So now it's like, okay, I needed more people in it. So, and then I met MJ on North Street riding his bike. I speak a little bit Swahili. I was in Kenya for 2 years, and that's how I communicate. And at that moment, he didn't speak good English. So, and that little bit Swahili that I learned it from back home really helped me out. So, and then Kadu come here, and then so on people. People come and go because at the end of the day, some of the people don't see the picture. Some see the picture, and they stick on the game, and some don't have no patience, and they give up. That's why we still over here.
Well, so for you guys, it's been, I wouldn't say a slow burn exactly, but you've certainly been performing and playing for a long time. How long has it been now since you kind of started? And
We always been performing. We always performing. We always working on the music. We supposed to release an album, but a friend of I that works on in the music history, music. What was it called? What's that?
Industry.
Music industry.
History.
A friend of ours told us that the best way to do it is to put singles out. So we were trying to put an album out. So we posted and we focused on this, putting the singles out, and that's why we put like 2 or 3 singles out.
And videos.
And then and with the videos, and then after that, this video we're working on, we put it out, and then we're gonna put the album out, and it's gonna have like 11 tracks on it.
And that's your second album, right?
That's the second album.
Okay, so how's been creating this album? Have you got a title yet? Is there a theme?
It's
Is it-
20 Infinity.
20 Infinity.
That's the name of the album, 20 Infinity.
What
And it's well, I don't want to tell anybody's ages here, but these guys are in their 20s or at the end of that. But when I met them, they were in high school. They were teenagers, and so they've lived through their 20s as members of A2VT. So you're 28, 29, 30, but 20 Infinity means you're 20 something forever. You're
Okay,
eternally young.
I'm telling that to my partner.
Right, right. But also 20 Infinity means it's the year.
Right.
2019,
Mhm.
2020. Who knows what the future is? It's 20 Infinity. It's all about. It's open ended as far as the future. So it's about the
2099.
future.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2099.
2099.
PG-13. PG Infinity.
So you guys got 11 tracks together. How long has it taken to get these tracks right?
I mean,
has any tracks kind of been left by the wayside, left on the sidelines?
Yes.
And how did you choose these 11 to represent you in the next album?
I mean, you pick the best. When you're picking the album, especially, you pick the best songs, and
You don't pick the best songs because we perform a
Best
lot,
message.
right? We perform a lot. We see the crowd, like I said in the beginning. We see the crowd, people that will give you coming back. I like this song. When can I find this song? So that is your coming to from your head is your note, and you perform another area. They will tell you different songs. So you don't look at point of view. You look which one people really likes it. We got a lot of songs, but we pick the one people wants the most.
And they keep writing new songs all the time. So sometimes you have to have a cutoff and say like, well, that's a really good song, but that's not going to be on this album. It'll be on the next album because
that's what
we have to get these ones out. And the problem is, it's like one thing is if it takes a long time to put out the album, then the songs start losing the consistency. So when you remix everything, you mix it at that time, so there is a consistency back to it again. Otherwise, like, oh, that was recorded in 2015, and this was recorded last week, and trying to bring. But the consistency is the writing and the vocals, of course. So
on that note, was there tracks you did record a long time ago that are on this album with newer tracks, or did you guys go into the studio and redo them all for this album?
Both.
Both.
We have some songs that were demos that they performed live, but we worked with the demos of the songs, and then when we realized these songs should be on the album, we went back and in some cases redid it from scratch. So that's like in the old days what they used to do. They would record a demo in the studio and then they'd be like, oh, that's a good demo. Now let's record it for real.
Right.
And so that we had to do. And some of the songs were based on other songs that we do not own the rights to. So we had to go back and deconstruct and reconstruct and start over from scratch so that it would be something that was ours.
Just the beat. Just the
The
beat.
beats, the musical backgrounds.
Yeah, the beats.
Well, I'd love to get into how you guys create the songs in just a moment. But I'd really love to listen to a song from the new album, if that's possible.
They're all on the. Those songs are all on the new album. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you'd like
Yeah.
to introduce the next one, I'd love to give it a listen.
Yeah, Ghetto and Fusco, those are the songs that didn't get to make on the first album.
Mm.
You know, they got like, you know, 'cause we had the other ones already. It's like, let's put this one down, and then we reworked on it because the people liked it, and we had so much comments about it, and then we reworked on it from scratch. We started from scratch, and that takes a lot of time to do it too, especially not the recording, because now you already did the vocals,
Mhm.
not the beat. You know, now the beat is what takes the most time.
Well, I'd love to give that a listen to. You say Faswa?
Fusco.
What?
And that's my mind.
Yeah.
That's my mind, and it means beautiful.
Oh.
Yeah, it means beautiful.
My Maya is the language of the Somali Bantus.
It's my
And we speak a lot of language in our music, so because we want everybody to get
the
a
message.
piece of it.
Yeah, I read you speak 8 languages in total in the band.
Yeah, there's what? Somali, Swahili, Kirundi, Mai, English,
English,
French, and
French.
some. Yeah, there's a few.
Burundi.
So it's Kirundi.
Kurundi.
Kirundi.
Who in the group speaks the most languages?
But now I'm fading.
You're fading.
Yeah, I'm fading. Right now it's like I used to speak 5. Now I'm like, the real language I can speak fluently is 3.
Oh well, only 3.
English no good. I'm still African, so I'm not good at
Are you not counting English in those 3?
No.
What? You're literally
I
having a radio
still mambo
interview.
jumbo.
And that's good. That's what you
mambo
want.
jumbo.
Every language, you just got a mumble jumbo.
I have to think 3 times for those language of the one I know. So I have to translate it 1, second language, third language, then I
When
will
it comes
speak.
out.
Yeah, in English.
It's for someone who's translated it 3 times before you've spoken it. It's still very good.
Sometimes I'm still wrong.
I think you can be forgiven for that.
Okay.
Well, I'd love to listen to the next track.
Faswa.
Faswa.
Yeah.
So
It's on YouTube too, and there's a couple of views on it. Nice videos on it too.
yeah, so let's take it away. Producer Bob.
I speak 3 languages.
You both speak well. Both
Different languages.
Yeah.
Three. Not good at any language. That's the thing.
As your mind, you're having a radio interview.
I don't think good in my mind. I don't think good surviving. I don't think good in my
Yeah, they do okay.
I don't
Yeah, I'd say you get by.
Swahili, so I know all
Weird
of them.
English, all the words that sound like each other, he would use interchangeably, but he
Would you move your seat back about 6 inches?
kind of knew. So it was almost like that free association.
Right.
So I think it helped with lyrics.
Right.
For writing.
Yeah, it helps with the flow. I imagine it helps with the flow of it.
Yeah.
Much better.
You can see us.
Somebody comes.
We were hogging that camera.
Love the camera.
This is not an African music song. It's based on a Jamaican dance hall. We couldn't use that beat. Somebody else. We don't. We just redid it.
So you guys own any of the beats you create any of the beats yourselves?
Yeah, not all of them. Or we have people who have purchased it from. Because if the song was written on a beat that was not ours, then we can't use it, and we can't use the sound. So we feel like the song's really worth recording. Go make a new beat.
Right.
And then we change it, and sometimes it changes quite a bit. Ghetto changed a lot from the original. We would never recognize it from the original. But this one is based on a Jamaican song that's, I don't even know who wrote it. There's no credit, but I still don't want to use it.
Right. Just in case. Plus, you want to give credit.
Right, you want it to be yours. You want to make it yours. And the recording quality is not very good.
As you said, this song was, you wrote it when the first album came out, or around there.
I wrote it for 5-6 years.
But then you recorded it more recently with this album. So how much does it change beyond the beat as you've got better at music?
How much did it change?
How different is the demo that you put?
Oh, it's a lot
to,
Even as recording it, I used some of my old vocals, and some of it I couldn't redo it. I think the vocal changed. How sweet I said it back then.
we had to work
Too
that
much.
pretty hard. These background vocals were original.
So I kept some of it and I recorded some of it.
Lead vocals were all new.
I was young, I was wilding out, and so I try to go back to those ages.
do the work.
Even for recording wise, performing wise, always.
So actually, I'd like to kind of bring the rest of the listening viewers into that conversation while we were listening to that song. And we were just mentioning how as the song we listened to, you wrote it and made a demo of it back in your first album, and it didn't quite fit in that first album, so you put it in the second album. Now, how much did this change from the first song that you created to the second song? Because I'm imagining you are all better musicians now, different vocal ranges. So yeah,
we didn't give it the full treatment the first time around. It was just a demo. And so the quality was not, we didn't, like when you're recording a lead vocal, you're really, it's under a microscope. You're really working hard to perfect it as much as possible. We didn't do that. The first time around, it was just like, let's put the ideas down so we have them, so we could go back to it if we like it. And then 5 years later, we're like, yeah, that song, we got to do that one.
And you're mentioning the beat is Jamaican dancehall.
Jamaican dancehall. Yeah. The originally, I didn't hear the original song. I heard the beat. And I was like, yo, this beat is nice. I have something to say on this beat. And then 2 years later, when I recorded it, and some of my friends already know that it's a song. And then I heard the original song. I like her. The original. I like her. I'm like, whoa. I think I did better than you.
I think you did too. You sort of flex
that motivates me more now on the beat. So that's why I kept it a little bit of style of him. I didn't change it a lot like Ghetto. I still wanted, one day to recognize and to shout out me or to come at me or whatever.
Right. And it brings up another point. As you said, that last song had a Jamaican dancehall beat to it. Obviously, none of you guys are from Jamaica, but you are from different areas around Africa.
Yeah.
So we listen to those songs there.
Pardon?
The songs, the Jamaica songs, we usually listen there. We dance to them. It's like
In Africa.
Right. I'm sure there's a lot of parallels and a lot of cultural songs taken from both places. But when you create music, is your music a mixture of the cultures and countries that you come from, or is there one particular region that dominates when you write your own songs?
that is. When we write the songs, when we write the music, for real, you can hear it. Even the beats inside of it is like a mix. You have a hip hop inside it, African drama, African guitar, everywhere international. That's why we call ourselves A2VT. We're from Africa. We bring our culture here, and we mix with this culture. So it's like two continents combined. You know.
Like a hybrid.
Yeah, because we listen to hip hop, and if I hear some of hip hop, something I hear from the beat I like it, I'm gonna make it my own way in my own my back home. So and to try to fit it in like it goes in there so they can feel it both way. And then,
Trying to get those two of your histories to fit together.
yes,
And I'm not growing up listening to African music much, of any. My reference for African music was like King Sunny Ade and the Talking Heads. So that was my reference point. And so I met these guys, and they taught me a lot. And then I brought like rock music to them, and so it was a lot of fusion of those things. And so it's still Talking Heads. Remain in Light is like a go-to African sort of rock Afro hybrid in my head. So I still go back to that sometimes to get ideas.
And finally, you guys have got a new single out. Want to tell me a little bit about this, and then to finish us off, I'd love to hear it and know where you guys are performing next and what you're up to next. But first of all, the single. Tell me a little bit about that.
Africa, baby.
Wave Your Flag. Wave Your Flag is already out there, and we almost hit about 132,000 views.
Oh wow!
So yep.
Yeah, nice.
So there's a nice song, and we did it ourselves. We buy the beats, and then we put out there. We shoot the video. The video's good, and the message is good. So
Young people trying to change the world. That's basically the message. And also people coming from another country to this country, and what they're up against, basically.
Right, which is harder and harder all the time.
Correct.
And you're getting a lot of notice. I saw that you were you played at Boston Music Festival. What else have you got coming up? What are you most excited about right now?
Go ahead.
Go.
I mean, I can't wait for the A-Dog Day to perform. That's it. That's my due right there. So I'm excited.
A-Dog Day.
A-Dog Day.
We're supposed to give us beautiful show, and we could make it.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys.
That's why I would say we're gonna present.
We played it last year too, so this year too. It was nice. Showed some love back,
And any plans for when the album comes out to do?
Yeah, we will start in earnest remixing everything, tearing it apart, putting it back together basically September 1. And then we'll work with Andre Macara of West Street Digital up in St. Albans to remix and master all the tracks. And it should be out by, fingers crossed, by Christmas.
All right.
Yeah.
And what else? We have another.
January, right?
Huh?
Album's coming out.
Album should be out hopefully by the end of this year. Probably right by the end of the year. At the very end.
Nice Christmas present for us all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And other important shows that are coming up is the what was it? No. 400 years ago. First refugee.
It's the first Africans in America landing in America as slaves. August 24th, 1619 is the 400th anniversary. That event is at North End Studios on the 24th.
All right.
And we should be part of that as well. And
Present.
they do a lot of gigs in schools. As it sort of has an educational component to it. And so there's a lot of gigs in schools that we don't usually mention exactly where they are.
Right.
Just
that makes
for
sense.
safety.
Yeah.
And the good thing we do our music because we don't swear music because the young kids. We want to change them because that's the future for tomorrow. I know me and my brother here we want to enjoy it, but our kids want them to change it. And this is 2026, and this started changing it. That's where we focus from 2007 to today. you cannot hear one of music we swear in there because our message is for young kids, even the grown up.
I'd certainly be subscribed by a lot of my friends as a grown-up kid, so I'll
Everybody right
take
now
it to
they
me as
grown.
well.
What's up?
Well, we've not got too much time left, but we'll play off this song, and it's been really fantastic having you guys in again.
Yeah,
Really appreciate it, and can't wait to hear this album coming out.
yeah, thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, can't wait for you
Us
to put
too.
it out too.
All right, well,
Here we go.
read it.
Wave your flag.
Wave your flag.
I got mine.
It's an anthem.
Yeah, I was listening to this before.
You heard it?
Yeah. Wow, yeah, the views on it are insane. I mean, you've got a lot of views on other songs as well. Generosity,
Not close to that.
but this how did they get so many views so quickly?
Because we promoted it.
Yeah.
We actually, I mean, that's the way to do it. We got a grant to help with promotion. And we promoted on Facebook and especially on YouTube. And it was going so well, we don't want to stop. But then you start seeing the dollar sign, you feel like $700 just on YouTube. So we feel like, they came in like in 3 weeks.
And then what they do is that while you're paying all that money is because they will push your music out there better, and they can ask you where you wanted to be hearing your music and who you wanted to hear your music, and you get all those choices only that you pay. Otherwise, you just throw in your song in the basket.
If you're a superstar, it doesn't matter. But they
I
still promote.
push you.
We were seeing, you could see the analytics. Every country, age groups, interests, cities. So Nairobi, Kenya had like by far the these guys are not from there.
I was going to say, any interest in going over to Kenya?
Yeah.
Yeah, because why? It's the Swahili that they hearing it from those. And there's some Somalis out there too. They hear them and keep it in my mind, not that, make them like they
It's also how many people actually have internet connection. Somalia probably has more people than Kenya maybe, but not as much internet. We did have some views in Somalia, but small.
Right. So, I mean, once it starts getting those views as well, it starts getting shared by other people, and then the name gets better and better. Right. This account is still picking up as quick.
No, because, well, it's ticking up much slower now because we're not feeding it with money to keep it going up. If the budget would allow, we would keep doing it. The next album, we want to save some for the next single too, and then the album. We did more than twice as good as our best so far. And this my town with no promotion got around 60,000 over the course of 7 years. This is like 4 weeks.
Right. But it's still expected to keep going up.
It will.
I like this guy.
That's Dan Bishop, bass player for, you know that?
Yeah, I think I've been
Fantasy, he's in Savayuma.
Alright, that was ATV2 with their new song Wave Your Flag,
Yeah,
guys.
your flag,
Thank
check
you
it
once
out.
again so much for coming in. I really
No problem,
appreciate it.
man.
Coming up next, we've got John Fusco and the Crossroad Riders, so stick around and we will be right back.
We're in wine.
I'm finished.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah.
You can find my music on Bandcamp.
All right.
Right.
Oh, we better get the next
Our
one. Yes,
website is A2VT.com.
Never mind. I think we're good, John.
People know this.
That was good.
That was great, you guys. Seriously, thank
Were
you.
you sitting there the whole time?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know.
I wasn't making faces at you or funny ears.
You what?
I wasn't making fun of you.
No, your fingers behind my head.
No.
Oh, no worries, man. Anytime. Sure, there's a lot of you. I had no idea. Let's give you like 2.
Just have them.
Oh yeah, no, I do remember reading the
Man.
Oh, box of harmonicas.
That is a box of harmonicas. That's for sure.
All right.
Hi, Bob.
Yeah, we're not doing it
Oh,
yet.
we're not. Okay, cool. Okay.
You guys all ready?
Yeah.
Welcome back. It's the Radiator, the rocket shop. Once again, let me explain. With me now is John Fusco and the Crossroad Riders. Hello.
Hello there. Hey, nice to be here.
Thank you so much for all coming in. I saw that there was a number of people in your group, but often when the number is that high, I just assume 1 or 2 people are coming up to represent. I'm so glad there's so many people here tonight.
Yeah. This is half the band.
Well, we usually like to start off by introducing who is here. So if you'd like to go around and if you're near a microphone, just lean in and introduce yourselves. That'd be great.
Sure. Why don't we start with you, Cassandra, over there?
Sure, I'm Cassandra Misha. I'm one of the singers.
Brickett Bailey, one of the singers.
Brad, Baby J. Jewett on the saxophone.
I'm Josh Klinger on trumpet and drums tonight.
Kurt Pearson on lead guitar.
Dennis Diego on bass guitar.
Mark Lavoie on mouth organ.
John Fusco on the Hammond organ.
Wonderful. This is going to be great. I can't wait. Yeah, if you want to kick off with a song, what you got for us?
Sure. Well, we're gonna let's do something to warm up. We'll get a little something from the Delta. Little muddy.
Better than anybody can be. I'm better than anybody can be. I'm ready for your will. You're ready for me. I got a little pistol on the frame. Don't put it down on the chain. I TNT, I'm dynamite. I hold some screwball trying to start a fire. Drinking gin, it was before. I feel so good. I want you to know. Have another drink, I wish you would. It takes a whole lot of love and to make me feel good. I'm ready for you, man. I hope you're ready for me. That's what I say. I say I'm ready for you, man. I hope you're ready for me. I say I'm ready for you. I hope you're ready for me.
Hey, all right.
Wow, what an introduction! That was quite something. So tell me how this great band got together.
Well, it's a wild story. I mean, it came together really organically. I was shooting a movie in New Orleans recently. I write and produce films, and I wound up in New Orleans doing this movie, The Highwaymen, with Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson. So I found myself back in my old stomping grounds where I made my first movie years ago, Crossroads, the blues movie. And so suddenly I was back around all this great music, my music roots, and it reignited a real passion. And I ended up, once we wrapped, doing a solo drive across the Mississippi Delta, traveling through all my old music haunts, winding up in Memphis and getting together with some of the kids of my former music mentors who had now gone on to form the North Mississippi All-Stars. And a conversation turned into a jam session turned into a spontaneous album, and the album turned into this band, the Crossroad Riders. Meanwhile, back north here where I live, I kept one foot in music with this young generation of musicians like Bradley, Baby J, Josh, and Cassandra. And they were really working with me, and I was teaching them some of the old blues and Americana traditions, and I was learning from them. It was a wonderful symbiotic thing. And so then I brought in some of the old school musicians from around the area, like Kurt and Dennis and Mark and Bill Trinkley. And we formed the northern chapter of the Crossroad Riders. So really, the band is 13-piece, but when you bring up our people from the South, Cody Dickinson, Reese Norman, it's like a 14-piece, 15-piece band. So it's a big, exciting musical experiment and project, and it's been a lot of fun.
It's rare to hear the sentence "a spontaneous album got created."
Yes, yeah.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about that because some people and ah about albums for literally years. Some people it's a first and only novel that they've been dying to create, and it takes them a long time to get into the studio. When you say spontaneous album, was it kind of just like after one jam session you guys were in and writing and creating everything?
So I've been writing music, which I never stopped doing really. But most of those songs over the years have evaporated. And this was a case where I had some songs, that were pretty fresh out of the oven, that it was still shaping. And that drive across the Mississippi Delta became a period where I had a lot of time to kind of sing through those songs, work through the lyrics, think them through, feeling that inspiration. And when I got together with the North Mississippi All-Stars and I sat at the organ in their studio and started playing, they said, "What is that?" And I said, "Oh, that's an original tune I'm working on." And Cody Dickinson jumped on the drums and we started jamming and we went through it. And he said, "I'm going to record that." And he did. And then he said, "What else you got?" And I did another one. And it just started building up. And he said, how much time do you have? How long are you going to be here in Memphis? And I said, "Hey, listen, man, I'll be here as long as you want me to. If you're feeling it, I'm feeling it." And Cody, his dad was Jim Dickinson, who was an ethnomusicologist, like an Alan Lomax, who was into preserving blues and Americana. And so Cody and Luther kind of have taken that up. And so he saw it as it was just something that spoke to him. And he said, let's do the album. Let's just keep recording. So we did 4 straight days of recording. I went back home, jammed with these guys, went back down. I went down 3 times, and the album came together. So it was like a jam session that led into an album, and we're getting ready to do the second one at the end of this month.
Oh wow! So when did that first one come out?
That came out in March.
Oh, so this is gonna be a 2-album year for you.
Yeah. Well, it probably won't be released. It would probably come out at the end of the year. But everyone here will be on that album, and many were on the first one. You could hear them on there. You mentioned the harmonica. It's
Gorgeous,
so
by the way.
yeah. So yeah, it's really it's unique in that and I think that's what the Crossroad Riders is all about. We're at this crossroads of these musical traditions, and when we play at Spruce Peak in November, the southern chapter will be coming up to join us. We'll all be on the stage for a big Mad Dogs and Englishmen type of rock and roll circus.
Well, you say crossroads in kind of many different aspects. One of which is you got the northern and the southern chapters. How do you both influence each other? It seems like you kind of got a foot in both camps in this one.
Yeah.
John. But how does the northern influence the south and the south influence the north? And how does that and what gets created from that?
Well, I feel one of the unique things about where we are in northern Vermont is we're very close to Canada and Acadian musical traditions. And I see, a real link between the kind of Quebec, French Canadian music and the washboard, which you'll hear on our album, like electric washboard, and the Louisiana traditions. And so we want to work more and more like kind of bridging that. I mean, the real North Country Acadian with the Louisiana Acadian sound. And it's a cool thing that you don't really get to hear a lot. The other thing is, the young players here help us push it into new directions. Josh is working on some, real experimental stuff. He's an excellent composer. I think the Vermont Symphony has done some of your original stuff. So, I mean, they've got they're the young folks in this group are musically educated. They're theory people, and they've got really wild, exciting ideas. You know, we're the old roadhouse, battle scarred, road tested veterans who are self taught, and we're all about emotion. We're all about what Miles Davis says, where anyone can play the note, but it's the emotions that the guy playing the note is feeling. That's what it's all about. So it's been this wonderful, exciting symbiosis.
Fantastic. Well, I'd love to hear another song. What have you got for us?
Now we'll do one of our originals. This is something that in talking about New Orleans, my whole Southern music odyssey began when I was a teenager. I got into an argument with my father over the Hammond organ in the house. He wanted me to play wedding bands. I wanted to play Southern roots music and rock and roll. And my friends would come and we'd sneak the organ out the back door. He found it missing. Led to a big argument, and I ended up running away from home at 16 and found myself in New Orleans. And that led to this kind of trying to hunt down obscure blues legends to try to get to the roots of the Allman Brothers and the Stones and what was really under it, what was the authentic stuff under it. So that led me down to New Orleans, where I had quite a few adventures and misadventures. And this is a true story about one of them. It's called Boogie on the Bayou.
Take it away.
Found myself down in New Orleans. Never had a woman in my life. Her name was Evangeline. Said she was a Mardi Gras queen. Prettiest eyes I'd seen in all my life. She said, honey, let me fly you. Gonna drown the liar. We gon' boogie on the bayou all night long. Baby, boy, I wanna try you. Oh, I wanna fly with you. We gon' boogie on the bayou all night long. Oh yeah. She said, come on, let's leave this joint. Oh, tourists don't get the point. Here's my keys, baby. Let's go for a ride. She took me down to St. Bernard where Cajun boys sure party hard. She said, take my arm, baby, when we walk inside. She said, party, let me fire you up. Boogie on the lion. We gon' boogie on the bayou all night long. Baby, I wanna try you. Oh, gonna fly with you. We gon' boogie on the bayou all night long. So if you go down to New Orleans, beware of them Mardi Gras queens. Look at you like you're nothing but some crawdad babe. They use it just to fit their plan to ride up the cheating man. You better run if you hear a bomb up there. Going down the line, we go boogie on the fire all night long. Big boy wanna try you. Boogie on the fire all night long. Oh yeah.
Boogie on the Bayou by John Fusco and the Crossroad Riders. That whole song started because it was a story about when you ran away when you were 17.
Yeah.
That was quite a story in itself. But you are a screenwriter by trade. So how much is your storytelling rooted in that screenwriting? How much is it rooted in the songs you make? How much of a crossover is there?
It's a really great question. One of the things that Cody Dickinson said when we were having that spontaneous session down there was, he said, "Man, you write songs in 3 acts." And he said, "No one does that anymore. There's not a lot of narrative, beginning and middle and end." And but I think songwriting has always informed my screenwriting, my narrative writing, and vice versa. Excuse me. Yeah. So I think it really comes down to what's the best medium to serve the particular story. And I find that as I write novels as well. And there's some things that are meant to be a book, some things meant to be a long form TV series, others meant to be a film or a song.
Okay, and so do all your songs fit in the blues category as well, or do you ever come up with songs like in the same way that you write a story, like, well, that's a novel or that's a film? You ever write a song and, well, actually this one's a ballad?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have ballads, and there's ballads on the first album. There'll be quite a few more on the second one. But I think that there's definitely this thread that runs through that's rooted in the Americana. And I think it's the same with my narrative writing with films and television, that you can really trace this kind of thematic clay that informs it all.
Now, that last song was very much autobiographical.
Yeah.
When you are writing, is it a mixture of autobiographical and then other stories that, fiction, or do you stay kind of true to what's happened in your life and your own feelings and thoughts?
No, I mean, that makes up a large part of it, but also I can get into the head of someone else, someone I know, a friend who's going through certain things, and I can take on that persona and that empathy and capture those feelings in that story. I mean, there are a lot of different approaches to the songwriting. I mean, sometimes, the blues tradition has a lot to do with certain idioms that resonate with certain truths. And so I always have the radar out for those. For instance, my song "Drink Takes the Man" came out of an Irish drinking proverb and turned into a blues song.
I see. And what I really loved about both the tracks I've heard so far is how much room you give every musician here, it seems. When the whole lot of you is together, do you still manage to do that, or do these songs go on for 20 odd minutes? How does that work?
Yeah, we have a few that can go 17 minutes.
Yeah.
But
Some of these faces, that's definite. Yeah.
I think there's a real synergy, and we never know. It's like just tonight. I mean, Bradley's never done sax on that one, but we just felt it coming up, and everybody's really generous. It's one of the I've played with a lot of bands in the past, and this band, it's just there's no egos. It's multi-generational. And everyone's real generous with each other, and kind of we feed off each other's energy.
And would you consider yourself a musician first and foremost, or a writer first and foremost?
A storyteller.
Storyteller.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of foot in both camps on that one.
Yeah.
And in terms of your own writing, do you need to be in a certain place or in a certain mood to sit down and write? And is it sometimes you sit down and write, you think you're about to write yourself a novel, and sometimes when you're sitting there, a song comes out, or vice versa?
With my screenwriting and with the narrative writing, I'm really disciplined, and I start writing before 5 a.m. every morning, and I have a real blue-collar approach to it. I don't wait for certain moods or rainy days. It's like it's like Jack London said, you go out with a club and you grab the story by the throat and you do it. But with songwriting, it's different. That's definitely something that I give myself more freedom with, and I'll feel it. I'll be out on the farm doing something, and I get this feeling, and I come in and I sit at the piano, and the words and music tend to come together simultaneously, which I know is not often the case. It's a lot of times the lyrics come and you find the right tune. I sit with a feeling. There might be a certain theme, something on my mind, and it kind of comes together.
And with such a big band, do you once you've got that song together, how easy is it for it to get everyone in to kind of like put it down onto paper, if you will, not onto paper, but get it down and record it and get it tight and get it well practiced with so many of you? Yeah,
well, I mean, I think everyone here in this room and our other 35 people our other, actually, other 13 people in total. The important thing is they have to feel it. They have to really, I want them to feel the song and love it, and then to contribute, to bring in their own feeling. Like tonight, there was stuff happening on Boogie on the Bayou that was all brand new, but they know what the song's about, and they're it's all a collaboration.
I mean, it helps that everyone here is a fantastic musician, I suppose.
Yeah, they're wonderfully talented.
And as I understand it, you got this gig in November, but you guys are playing up and around Vermont this summer.
Yeah, August 24th on a Saturday night, we're going to do our debut show at the Rusty Nail stage in Stowe, and it's going to be a barn burner. We're really excited about getting out there and playing.
It's a great venue as well.
Yeah, it's a really good stage.
Very well suited to your kind of style of music.
Yes.
Well, so
yeah.
That's gonna be fantastic.
We're gonna rock the mountain road.
And do you have any other gigs after that, or is this?
Yeah, we have September 28th?
Yep.
Yeah, Rocktoberfest in Morrisville. We're going to be playing right out in downtown Morrisville. Looking forward to that one. Outdoors right at the end of September. November 1, we're going to be at Arts Riot right around the corner as part of Vermont Farm Aid to benefit Salvation Farms from Morrisville, my home area. And in that show, different acts like Seth Yakovone is going to represent Neil Young. Blues for Breakfast will represent Bob Dylan. Someone will do Willie Nelson, and we're going to do Mellencamp. And we're going to have the fiddler Patrick Ross with us, and we're going to do a half-hour set of Mellencamp tunes, and all in the spirit of Farm Aid to raise funds for the Salvation Farms. And then we have Spruce Peak Performing Arts Center, November 23rd. We're playing with Dave Keller's Soul Review, and this is going to be a fundraiser for emergency first responders all in our area and throughout our part of Vermont. And that's called the Spruce Peak Blues and Soul Bash. And for that one, we have the Dickinsons from the North Mississippi All-Stars coming up, Reese Norman, singer from the Memphis Gospel Norman family, and Sarah Morrow from the Ray Charles Orchestra and Dr. John's band joining us on the trombone. She will joining the horn section. So that's going to be a killer show.
Yeah, these all sound pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah.
I have to write these down in my diary. Well, we've only got about time for one more song, unfortunately. But what have we got to play us out?
Well, you had asked us about Brad. Maybe you hop on the drums for this one. So, and by the way, our drummer is in LA right now, and it's our horn players are doing the drums.
What do you do?
Is it?
Oh well, Bob's down for keeping this going.
Oh well,
as
hey.
long as we can. So if
Hey,
he's down, I'm down.
So you had asked about the kind of link between the North Country and the South, and I talked about the Acadian connection. This is a song I wrote about kind of a love letter to our neighbors over the border, and one of my favorite things that you have to head up there to really get the best of. A little song called Poutine.
Well, maybe you've been to Tucson to get you some agave blue. Maybe you've flown to China to get you the real wushu. Maybe you've been to London in the service of the Queen. But you ain't really living Mexican road. Got you some poutine. Where you talk about Atlanta and how you had the Georgia peach. Talk about the Turks and Caicos going naked on the beach. I'm going north of the Derby line. Yeah, fine road, that thing. You ain't really living Mexican road. Got you some poutine. Poutine, take time. Where we talk about the border, we all think of Mexico. Dancing with El Chapo's daughter. Son, you better take that slow. I'm going north of the borderline. my machete. My machete. You ain't got you some poutine. I said, now you ain't got you some poutine.
Poutine.
Poutine there by John Fusco and the Crossroad Riders. Well, as we're sticking around, I've got a few more questions.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So, John, is it my understanding that you grew up in Vermont then?
No, I actually grew up in rural Connecticut, although I know that sounds like an oxymoron to a lot of people, but back in the day when it was dirt roads in a certain area where I grew up, my dad had a fish camp in southern Vermont all my life in Stockbridge on the Tweed River. And so at an early age, I kind of made up my mind to adopt Vermont as true home. So after a lot of travels through the South and kind of getting into the back door of film school in New York City and doing my time in LA, I came back around here and this is home now full time.
All right. And that kind of trip down south, and we've heard what kind of spurned it, and did you pick New Orleans because of the music, or did you pick New Orleans because, just a hell of a great time to go down when you're 16?
I picked New Orleans because I originally headed down to North Florida to try to find the Allman Brothers. And of course, they were disbanded at that point, but when I took off, I just had this, I knew I wanted to go find the music. I wanted to head toward Mecca. And so I made a direct beeline hitchhiking down south to go find the Rec Bar in Daytona Beach, just to see where the Allman Brothers played their first gig. And that's when I knew the music gods were watching over me, because on the second night that I went there, I heard all these motorcycles outside, and I asked the bartender what was going on. And he said, "Hey, you've been coming around here asking questions about Greg Allman. I think it's your lucky night." And Greg walked into the bar, and he ended up getting up and playing with a band called Mama's Pride. And I spoke with him. I had befriended a guy from Holland during that runaway trip, the poor guy, because he was on a vacation from the military, and I was a runaway. But he wouldn't leave me. At a certain point, I said, "You gotta just go." And he's like, "No, I'll hang with you." And one night we were walking back from the Rec Bar, and two police cars drove by, two Daytona police cars, and he started running down the sidewalk. I didn't know why. I mean, he had to find my friend. What's going on in someone's flower garden? He was given a citation. He had a court date, was supposed to show up, and he had come to me and said, "We got to get out of here." And he ended up buying a Kawasaki motorcycle with the last of his traveler's checks, and we took off, and that's how we wound up in New Orleans.
That's quite an entrance to make into a new city.
He had said to me, "Where do we go?" And I said, "New Orleans, the next music mecca."
You mentioned in your bio that you're really keen on bringing your music and your sound to the next generation. It's showing tonight. What from your generation's music? I wouldn't even say your generation's music. I think you play music from the
yes.
But what about that music can you bring to the next generation, and what are the younger people in the band bringing to your music?
Well, maybe some of you younger guys can talk about what you've been finding in this music. Brad, what is it about Americana and the blues and the stuff we've been doing that appeals to you as a musician?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I'm a student at UVM. I actually took a course on the history of the blues, and I had to write a couple essays about what that kind of music meant to me. And it can be hard this day and age, because we're, in some respects, we're in very tumultuous times culturally in this country. But it's kind of a nice bridge, I think, for a part of this country I've never been to. I definitely need to check out. But versus things up here in Vermont, where you can be at times very isolated and sort of doing your own thing. So. gave me a really good perspective on things, and I think it's teaches you about a different life, live somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think that as I had mentioned with the younger part of our group, that they are very educated musically, and they understand theory, and I get so excited watching them do horn charts. Coming and breaking down horn parts. We go by feel, and they do too. They do too. But they're just they've opened up a lot of doors and avenues, saying, hey, well, what if we do a key change there and take it out? And like, well, that really works. Doesn't that violate the structure? It's like, no, because technically, if you go on a circle of fifths, like, whoa, So yes. And I remember early on, I said, so I know we're doing a lot of the blue. We're doing doing Sonny Terry and Muddy Waters and a lot of traditional Americana stuff. What do you guys? Is there something that we're not doing that you guys want to do? And they're like, no, just keep bringing it on. This is what we want to work on right now.
And to the young people, what other kind of music you guys dabble in? Is it primarily blues, or are you working with anything else at the moment?
Josh, what you
Yeah, I mean,
doing?
I've been doing.
This is Josh Klinger. Hey,
I do a little bit of everything. Worked on a blues piece with Cassie and John and Bradley a few months back, but I also do a lot of electronic dance music and some hip hop stuff and a lot of stuff in the studio and in the electronic world, which is a lot of fun to kind of bring in here. Sometimes we have a little electronic pad that we bring to rehearsal, and I play the bongos on that. Sometimes we do a lot of really, kind of bringing modern technology into the older blues world, which is really, crossing everything that we can.
Right, I've seen a lot of some good blues electro mashups, as well as some really good use of loops.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and that can be tricky in a live band and setting, and especially the older folks who like to feel the tempo and to change the tempo a lot. So when you're bringing in the newer elements of computers, everything is on a metronome. So you have to find ways to kind of, change the metronome, either tapping in the tempo with them in real time, not setting presets. You still have to bring the feeling into the computers, which is, for me, it's been really fascinating to kind of get that. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
I think there's another element in this band, and that's we have a musical theater background that Brickett Bailey brings here. Is, we call our singing group. There are two other lady singers who aren't here tonight. We call them Brickett Bailey and the Bailey Hazen Singers. And the Cassandra comes from musical theater, and she's doing a lot of stuff now. Cassandra, why don't you talk about some of the musical stuff you're into right now with the theater?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of theater in the summertime, a lot of musical theater, but just being a part of this group and this band has really opened my eyes as far as learning to be a storyteller, and kind of building on that. And I'm more connected to this music, to the blues. I connect to the old crooners. I connect to Frank Sinatra, Aretha Franklin, Tony Bennett. I just saw Tony Bennett at the Flynn last weekend. So really, I just started bawling when he came out, just because such an influence. Really. So this music is just amazing, and it's wonderful to mix the generations and to bring this to the new generation, or the younger generation, even younger than us, and bringing that music back to life.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of new blues music, there's a few things kicking around, like Leon Bridges and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Are you honestly trying to get into that market, or for you is this a passion project?
It's totally passion. And that's what I love about it. It's just a pure organic musical collaboration, but with the new blues music. And I think something that has really informed our sound and what we're doing does come from my partners in the North Mississippi All Stars, who are pushing the blues. They're keeping it alive like their dad did for so long, but they're pushing it into new directions. And they can get really, really edgy, and so that has obviously it's going to it informed the album, because that's why I brought hip hop into my rendition of Crossroad Blues. I brought in Al Capone, from Hustle and Flow, 3-6 Mafia. He was the original Memphis pioneer rapper, and I wrote the arrangement of Crossroads, because I felt if I was going to do that, I had to take it somewhere else. I picked up a cue from the North Mississippi All Stars when I saw them bringing in rappers, and I said, let's bring in hip hop in there. So I feel that we're not just doing a tribute to the old stuff. We are pushing it into new direction.
Is that something you're looking to continue doing in the next album?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
After listening to who else you're going to be collaborating with this summer, I'm very excited to.
It's always a surprise. Yeah, we just I get down there in Memphis and I'm with Cody and he's like, hey, who's in town? And say, oh, did they come over? Yeah. So.
Apparently, you're obviously a magnet for various other talented people.
I'll tell you what, the passport is my movie Crossroads. That was my first movie, and it's become a musician's cult film. And all I have to do is mention Crossroads, and I feel so grateful and moved when I realize how many of today's great blues guitarists and players, from Johnny Lang to Devin Allman, Dwayne Betts, Bonamassa, you go right down the line, you read their interviews, and they say, so when did you start in the blues? They said, oh, I saw this movie in the 80s, Crossroads. And to me, it's like, wow, there's a lot about that movie didn't reflect my script 100%, but it did light a fuse for a new generation of blues guitarists. So that's the passport, and that's the so Cody will get on the phone and say, hey, remember the movie Crossroads? The guy who wrote it said, I'll be right up.
Yeah. So that's your advice. We should all go out, write our own Crossroads.
Well, you've got to go live it first. Yeah.
Well, I'd love to hear one last song. You guys have been absolutely phenomenal, by the way. Thank you so much for coming in. This has been an absolute delight. One of the highlights of my summer. So.
Oh, thank you, Tom. We really appreciate it. It's a great venue. We love what you're doing, with Rocket Shop and Big Heavy World, and it's a really, really cool venue. We're having a good time. So why don't we take it with what we'd like to do is we did a few originals, and now we'll go back to the traditions, and we're going to do a little Texas blues shuffle. And what's cool about this song is that this song really represents the transition from blues music of the 1940s to blues rock of the 1960s. So, who we got on drums? Oh, okay. Further on. Oh, yeah, we'll do a little further on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Further on, yeah. Get down, Mark. Further on, yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Living pretty baby, someday you're gonna be crying. You've been living pretty baby, someday you're gonna be crying. You've been living pretty baby, someday you're gonna be crying. further on up the road. Someone's gonna hurt you and you might be further on up the road.
Baby J. When you're all alone and blue, turn around up the road. When you're all alone and blue, you be asking me to take you back home, but I don't find somebody new.
Hey,
Fusco and the Crossroad Riders, guys, thank you so much once again for coming in.
thanks for having us.
It's
Thank
been
you.
It was a great time.
Anytime. Check us out next week. We have got Sabrina Kamalas and About Time coming on. So that'll be next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. This has been The Rocket Shop. I've been your host, Tom Proctor. Good night.
Hey, it's great.
You did! Good job! Very good job!
Yeah, real nice.
You guys need a serious powdering down. It's so shiny.
Yeah, oh, wow.
It's hot.
Burlington in the summer.
Red one.
Oh, that's so good.
Brilliant.